For the initial reflective essay, you can find some of the directions online. If you go to the College of Education webpage, it's just education.illinoisstate.edu. For the search site, just type in initial reflective essay, and then you can search for it. Okay. And it should come up right on top, the initial reflective essay, College of Education. If you click on that, it will take you to the directions and just an overview of this essay. So the reflective essay requires teacher candidates to assess their strengths, challenges, and beliefs against the Realizing the Democratic Ideal, which we did in class. To successfully complete this requirement, students must achieve a minimum rating of basic in all categories. So for the actual essay, okay, we did this survey together, the self-analysis part B. Following an introductory in-class discussion in which you may ask questions, you will complete the survey and return to class prepared to discuss your self-assessment. So we actually did it in class. Your thoughts on teaching and any follow-up questions you might have. And at this point, that is when you are able to take a look at Realizing the Democratic Ideal. And you can, it's here as well if you want to click on that. It is also on that first page of your syllabus. So using your self-analysis part B, you have identified at least 3 areas, 3 virtues that you want to work on. So if you cannot find that essay or that survey, it is the self-assessment survey right here. Okay. And this is where you checked off whether it was strongly agree or strongly disagree. Now you need to make sure you cover at least 1 virtue in the ethical section, so this top part, and at least 1 from the intellectual. And the third one can come from either the top part or the bottom part. Once you have identified those, you will use those to write up what you will be doing in paragraph form to work on those virtues. If you would like to look at your syllabus, it goes into more detail of what you will be doing. So I already went over the directions here that we found on that website. But here it says, the essay discusses how you see yourself in relationship to those virtues identified in the conceptual framework of Realizing the Democratic Ideal. So your plan for development and attainment of these virtues is what you need to talk about in your study. Okay, so in other words, what will you specifically do to educate yourself or further develop the 3 identified virtues? And it's also important to note that the discussion should not pertain to your career as a professional educator. It's more of that what you will do as a teacher. So for some of the undergraduate students I work with, they are not in teaching placements right now, so they can't really use those experiences to discuss how that will help them train to be a full classroom teacher. But for many of you in this class, you are in situations where you can actually gain experience from your work in the classroom to include in this essay. So it is focusing on what you can do now, but this group has the luxury of having those experiences along with this class that you can use to help you in those areas that you've identified. And so since this is an essay form, the following must be used. Okay, your first paragraph is an introductory paragraph, and then 2, 3, and 4, you will use 1 paragraph for each virtue, and paragraph 5 is the closing paragraph. Okay, and then below, as you've seen before, is Realizing the Democratic Ideal. Okay. And also the evaluation rubric is available on the website as well if you want to see how these will be scored. And it should be under 750 words. So on here, it says note, I have removed the word limit. So in the past, there's been a little bit of flexibility, but I would like for us to try to keep it at 750 words or below. I did give you some examples of essays from the past. One of them is kind of a weaker example that did not score very high, and the other one is a strong example. And these are helpful for you to read through, and there are some comments there to talk about some of the weaknesses or the strengths. So in this one, in the first paragraph, it would be helpful to mention the 3 selected commitments in the introductory paragraph to let us know what you will be talking about in each paragraph to follow. And it is best to identify the commitment as it is written, so not rewording it, but actually using it at almost verbatim as it is presented through the democratic ideals. Okay? Also, to really dig deeper to tell why this commitment is important, and then to think about kind of what goes beyond the typical L-Ed program requirements. So what are you going to do outside of the coursework that you have to do, kind of above and beyond, to make sure that you can strengthen these virtues? Okay. In this example down here, so it's thinking about designing a plan to acquire this virtue while a student at ISU. And not necessarily something in the future, but something you can be working on now. Okay, so for each paragraph, make sure you are very clear on why it is important. Have a little bit of insight into why this isn't fully developed for you yet, but then also work what you can do to strengthen that. So that is the weaker example. And then I've also provided a stronger example, and at the very end it talks about what this student did well. So they clearly identified the 3 commitments in the introductory paragraph. They identified the importance of the commitment, and also articulates the plan while a student in this program to enhance those commitments. So as long as you follow those guidelines, put together a rough draft of it and send it to me. I will give you some feedback, hopefully push your thinking a little bit more. And then once you are happy with the revisions that you have made, I will show you how to upload it on LiveText.